This is Bot City, and I'm Jet West. Today on the show, the biosecurity guardrails just got stripped away, and now the biggest AI minds in Silicon Valley are practically banging on Congress's door demanding protection. We're breaking down what changed and why they're suddenly scared. Sam Altman and Dario Amodei signed the same letter this week. That alone should tell you something is off. These two men could not stand next to each other at a photo op in New Delhi without the body language reading as a hostage exchange. And now their signatures sit on the same page along with Demis Hassabis and Mustafa Suleyman, asking Congress to put guardrails on mail-order DNA. The letter calls this a rare moment of agreement across stakeholders, often at odds. Rare is one word for it. The headline claim is specific, and it is the part that I want to take seriously before I take anything else apart. The letter says, and this is verified across multiple outlets, that AI systems now outperform PhD-level virologists on questions about highly technical laboratory procedures in their own domains of expertise. Read that sentence twice. Not undergraduates, not a Wikipedia summary of a procedure, PhD-level virologists in their own labs on the techniques they personally use, beaten on the test by a chatbot. The signatories include David Baker and Martin Hellman, both Nobel laureates, which means this is not a press release exaggeration that a comms team workshopped on a Tuesday. This is a capability threshold that has, according to the people who built the systems, already been crossed. And here is the part that makes the threshold actually matter. In 2017, a team of Canadian researchers reconstructed horsepox, an extinct virus, using about $100,000 of mail-order DNA. No AI assistance, just published papers, a credit card, and patience. Gene synthesis costs have fallen since then. The published papers have not become less available. What the letter is describing is the moment those two curves cross a third one, which is the curve of who can actually do the work. Synthetic biology has been quietly commoditizing for 2 decades. AI reasoning has been loudly commoditizing for 3 years. Neither one alone gets an amateur across the finish line. Together, according to the people selling the second one, they might. So far, so reasonable. This is the part of the script where I should tell you the AI industry has finally grown up and is asking for regulation on itself. Except that is not what the letter is asking for. Read the actual ask. The title of the letter is in support of mandatory nucleic acid synthesis screening and record keeping. The ask is that DNA printers, the companies that take your sequence and ship you the molecules, be required by law to screen orders and keep records. That is a supply chain intervention. It is regulation on the biotech vendors. It is not regulation on the AI models. The letter does not ask for mandatory safety evaluations of frontier models for bio-uplift potential. It does not ask for restrictions on what biology models will discuss. It does not propose a liability mechanism if an AI-generated sequence ends up in an attack. Jeff Ralston, who signed the letter, has separately argued that AI labs should screen the users of their own biology models. That argument is not in the letter. The gap between what one signatory advocates and what the document demands is the shape of the thing. The AI CEOs are asking Congress to put a fence around someone else's yard. Now, a fence around someone else's yard can still be a good fence. The DNA vendors are a real choke point, and codifying screening into law is a reasonable supply-side move. Twist Bioscience, whose policy VP signed, already screens voluntarily. The International Gene Synthesis Consortium has been doing voluntary screening since 2009. The letter wants to take the voluntary practice of the largest providers and make it the legal floor. Fine, defensible. Here's what every piece of coverage I read, with one exception, did not mention. In April of 2024, the Biden administration's Office of Science and Technology Policy published a framework requiring federally funded researchers to source synthetic nucleic acids only from screened providers. That framework existed. It was operational. In May of 2025, a Trump executive order directed OSTP to revise or replace that framework within 90 days. The 90 days expired late last summer. No replacement framework has been published. We are now in early summer, about a year after the deadline passed, and the federal screening guidance that used to exist still does not exist again. The letter calls this a rare moment of agreement. A more accurate description is that the executive branch quietly demolished part of the existing biosecurity infrastructure. The demolition went unreplaced, and the AI industry is now asking the legislative branch to rebuild it in a form the executive cannot as easily undo. That is a coherent strategy. It might even be the correct strategy, but it is not a fresh bipartisan opportunity rising out of clear sky. It is partially a response to a vacuum that the current administration created, and the letter does not name that vacuum once. Only the Register surfaced this. Every other outlet ran the story as AI leaders proactively step up. The rollback is the buried lead. There's one more contradiction worth naming because it is sitting in the signature block. Mustafa Suleyman, who runs Microsoft AI, signed a letter praising voluntary screening by the most responsible providers as the model Congress should codify. Microsoft's own researchers published work showing that AI protein design tools can generate dangerous sequences that slip past commercial screening software, the same screening the letter once codified. The signatory's own company published the proof that the proposed defense is already leaky. No reporter in the set I read put those two facts in the same sentence and asked Microsoft to reconcile them. David Relman, the Stanford biosecurity expert who also signed, said the quiet part out loud. He told reporters that AI can help a user identify which suppliers do not screen and reformulate orders to evade the screening of the ones who do. That is in the public record. It is not in the letter's ask. Which brings me to the legislative reality. The Biosecurity Modernization and Innovation Act, sponsored by Tom Cotton and Amy Klobuchar, was introduced in the Senate earlier this year. It is in committee. The House companion bill was reported out of committee over a year ago. Since then, nothing. The letter says Congress should act this session. The legislative record says the House companion has been sitting on a shelf for 14 months. The organizer at the Foundation for American Innovation called the proposal bipartisan, concrete, achievable, and non-controversial. Four adjectives that, when deployed together about a bill that has not moved in over a year, are doing a particular kind of work. I want to be fair to the underlying concern. Anthrax, untreated and inhaled, has a mortality rate approaching 100%. The 2001 letter attacks killed 5 people and infected 22, sent to 2 senators and several newsrooms, and reshaped American biosecurity policy for a generation. The threat model the letter describes is not paranoid. The technical claim about virology capability is, by the signatory's own account, already real. The 2017 horsepox precedent is on the record. This is not a manufactured crisis. The substance is serious. What is also true is that in the same week this letter went out, Sam Altman released an AI policy white paper proposing federal model vetting more stringent than the current executive order, and took a meeting with Senator Bernie Sanders. One outlet noticed. The rest did not connect the timing. Altman is running a political repositioning play, and the bioweapons letter is one move inside it. The man who recently struck a Pentagon deal that he himself later described as opportunistic and sloppy is now co-signing biosecurity letters with the rival who left his company in 2021 over safety concerns. Whatever this is, it is not a sudden outbreak of shared conscience. So here's what the letter actually is. It is a real warning about a real capability attached to a real but partial fix that asks the legislative branch to restore part of what the executive branch quietly removed, while pointedly not asking the AI industry to regulate itself in the place where regulation would actually bind. The biosecurity ask is the easier half of the problem, and the harder half, the model level half, is the half the signatories build, sell, and would prefer Congress not touch this session. The fence goes around the DNA printers. The signatories keep the keys to the chatbots. And the framework that used to require federally funded labs to buy from screen providers has been sitting in a regulatory drawer for a year, waiting for an administration that ordered its replacement and then forgot to write one. The letter is correct that Congress should act. It is just careful about which Congress, on which thing, and which yard the fence goes around.
I'm Jet West in Bot City. Keep bussin'.
Grab news. Thomas.